Thank you. Through the chair, I would like to ask the senator from Connecticut a question about actually a number of things, about the need for us to stand united as a country in the fight against hatred and terrorism and easy access to what are really weapons of war. It's about 6 hours ago that I came to the floor to participate in this very important discussion.
That was 6 hours ago?
Yes.
Wow.
One of the things I did was read through the names and just tell a little bit about each of the 49 victims of the shooting in Orlando. And I'm not going to do that again, but I do want to display their beautiful faces, because I do think telling these stories is such an important part of creating the resolve that we need as a nation united to take action. Not to repeat too much of what I said earlier this evening, but our thoughts and prayers are no longer enough. And it gets me thinking about what will it take? How many mornings do we have to wake up to news of a shooting in an elementary school or a college campus, a theater where people are gathering for a chance to just escape and enjoy a movie? Or as we learned last Sunday morning, a nightclub during June, which is Gay Pride Month, where people were celebrating the accomplishments of a movement and enjoying themselves and recognizing that we still live in a world with discrimination, but feeling safe among friends, colleagues. It was an act of hate. It was an act inspired by terrorists and terrorism. And it couldn't have happened without such easy access to a weapon of war. And we offer our thoughts and prayers, but our thoughts and prayers simply are not enough. And again, it makes me think of what will it take? I'm ashamed that it's taken us this long. Earlier I read some names. Now I'm going to share a list of catastrophic events. Each one brought terror to a community, brought grief and sadness to families. And they've been reduced to just ways of referring to them, much in the way that we decided to call the terrorist attacks on September 11, 2001, 9/11. So if you just look back a decade, and this is not a database of all of them, but it's a database of many of the mass killings in our country. The Amish school shooting in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania in 2006 killed 6, wounded 5. The Trolley Square shooting in Salt Lake City, Utah in 2007 killed 6, injured 4. You heard Senator Kaine talking just moments ago about the Virginia Tech massacre in Blacksburg, Virginia in 2007. 33 dead, 23 wounded. The Crandon shooting in Crandon, Wisconsin, 2007, 6 dead, 1 wounded. The Westroads Mall shooting in Omaha, Nebraska in 2007, 9 dead, 4 wounded. The Kirkwood City Council shooting in Kirkwood, Missouri in 2008, 6 dead, 2 wounded. The Northern Illinois University shooting in DeKalb, Illinois, 2008, 6 dead, 21 wounded. The Atlantis Plastics shooting in Henderson, Kentucky in 2008, 6 dead, 1 wounded. Carthage Nursing Home shooting, Carthage, North Carolina, 8 dead, 3 wounded. The Binghamton shootings in Binghamton, New York in 2009, 14 dead, 4 wounded. The Fort Hood massacre, Fort Hood, Texas, 2009, 13 dead, 30 wounded. The coffee shop police killings in Parkland, Washington, 2009, 4 dead, 1 wounded. The Hartford beer distributor shooting in Manchester, Connecticut, in 2010, 9 dead, 2 wounded. The Tucson shooting in Tucson, Arizona, 9 dead, 2 wounded. 6 dead, 13 wounded, including my dear former colleague in the House of Representatives, Gabby Giffords. The IHOP shooting in Carson City, Nevada, 2011, 5 dead, 7 wounded. The Seal Beach shooting in Seal Beach, California in 2011, 8 dead, 1 wounded. The Sujung Health Sauna shooting in Norcross, Georgia in 2012, 5 dead, 0 wounded. The Oikos University killings in Oakland, California in 2012, 7 dead, 3 wounded. The Seattle Cafe shooting in Seattle, Washington in 2012, 6 dead, 1 wounded. The Aurora Theater shooting in Aurora, Colorado in 2012, 12 dead, 58 wounded. The Sikh Temple shooting in Oak Creek, Wisconsin in 2012, 7 dead, 3 wounded. The Accent Signage Systems shooting in Minneapolis, Minnesota in 2012, 7 dead, 1 wounded. The Newtown School shooting in Newtown, Connecticut in 2012, 28 dead, 2 wounded. The Mohawk Valley shootings in Herkimer County, New York in 2013, 5 dead, 2 wounded. The Pinewood Village apartment shooting, Federal Way, Washington, 2013, 5 dead, 0 wounded. The Santa Monica rampage in Santa Monica, California, in 2013, 6 dead, 3 wounded. The Hialeah apartment shooting in Hialeah, Florida, in 2013, 7 dead, 0 wounded. The Washington Navy Yard shooting in Washington, D.C., In 2013, 12 dead, 8 wounded. The Alturas tribal shooting in Alturas, California in 2014, 4 dead, 2 wounded. The Fort Hood shooting 2. I can't believe I have to say that. The second Fort Hood shooting. Fort Hood, Texas, 2014, 3 dead, 12 wounded. The Isla Vista mass murder, Santa Barbara, California, in 2014, 6 dead, 13 wounded. The Marysville Pilchuck High School shooting in Marysville, Washington, 2014, 5 dead, 1 wounded. The Trestle Trail Bridge shooting in Menasha, Wisconsin, in 2015, 3 dead, 1 wounded. The Charleston church shooting, Charleston, South Carolina, 2015, 9 dead, 1 wounded. The Chattanooga Military Recruitment Center shooting in Chattanooga, Tennessee, in 2015, 5 dead, 2 wounded. The Umpqua Community College shooting in Roseburg, Oregon, 2015, 9 dead, 9 wounded. The Colorado Springs shooting rampage, Colorado Springs, Colorado, in 2015, 3 dead, 0 wounded. The Planned Parenthood Clinic, Colorado Springs, Colorado, 2015, 3 dead, 9 wounded. The San Bernardino mass shooting in San Bernardino, California, in 2015, 14 dead, 21 wounded. The Kalamazoo shooting spree in Kalamazoo County, Michigan, in 2016, 6 dead and 2 wounded. The XL Industries mass shooting in Heston, Kansas, 2016, 3 dead, 14 wounded. The Orlando nightclub massacre in Orlando, Florida, this past Sunday, 49 dead, 53 wounded. What will it take? How many times do we wake up to these tragedies? Now, I have the honor of representing the state of Wisconsin, and as you heard me read through that list, you heard that my home state that I love is not immune to these acts of violence. And I just wanted to talk about some of the mass shootings in Wisconsin in recent years. In November of 2004, during hunting season in Sawyer County, 6 hunters were killed and 2 were wounded. In March of 2005, a gunman burst into church services at the Church of Living God congregation and fired 22 rounds, killing 7, including the pastor and his family. In June 2007, 5 people were killed by a gunman, including twin infants, their mother, and 2 other victims in Delavan, Wisconsin. October 2007, 6 young adults were killed during a party in Crandon, Wisconsin. In August of 2012, a gunman killed 6 and wounded 4, including an Oak Creek police lieutenant, when the gunman opened fire at the Sikh Temple of Wisconsin during Sunday morning services. He had a semi-automatic pistol, and, as I mentioned, murdered worshipers before he was killed by the police. He also injured 4 others, including one of the responding police officers who he shot 15 times. The victims of the Sikh temple shooting were Satwant Singh Kalika. He's age 65. He was the founder of that Sikh temple. Paramjit Kaur, 41. Prakash Singh, 39. Sita Singh, 41. Ranjit Singh, 49. Suveg Singh, 84. Just a couple months after the Sikh temple shooting in Oak Creek, Wisconsin, a gunman killed 3 and wounded 4 when he opened fire inside a salon and spa in Brookfield, Wisconsin. The shooter was the estranged husband of an employee and entered the Azana Spa in Brookfield armed with a .40 caliber handgun and murdered 3 people, including his wife, and injured 4 others, including a pregnant woman. The victims of the Azana Spa shooting were Zena Houghton, 42, the shooter's estranged wife. According to witnesses, she heroically tried to stop her husband from harming others before being killed. And Carrie Roebuck, age 32. Maylin Lind, age 38. In June of 2015 in Wisconsin, a gunman killed 3, including 2 men and an 11-year-old girl, on the Trestle Trail Bridge in Menasha, Wisconsin. We also had some success in thwarting what could have been horrendous mass killings in our state. In late January 2016, a plan for a mass shooting at a Masonic temple in Milwaukee was thwarted by the intensive work of the FBI, and the plotter was arrested and charged criminally. I think it's important to note that while I've talked about these mass shootings, these mass casualty events, we lose so many Americans on a daily basis to violence in our communities. And it's an epidemic that, since those shootings in Orlando on Sunday morning, throughout the country we have seen at least that many deaths due to gun violence. In Milwaukee, the local newspaper has taken to creating a homicide tracker. They're literally counting the homicides because they are so rampant. So far this year, their homicide tracker notes 51 homicides, and this is just in one city in Wisconsin. 51. 82% of those homicides were caused by guns, people using guns rather than other means. I just want to tell you one more name and one more story. In May, last month, a little girl in Milwaukee, Zalea Jenkins. She approached a police officer and asked if they could keep her safe. The next week, one day before Zalea's 10th birthday, she was shot by a stray bullet while watching television inside her house. She died 11 days later. Whether these murders are perpetrated in violent communities, whether they are the acts of terror and terrorists, whether they are hate crimes, the fact remains that we have to tackle this. When will be the time? And we've gathered here this evening. It's amazing for me to see so many of my colleagues on the floor of the Senate as the hour nears midnight in Washington, D.C. The time is now. We have a bill before us in the Senate that is the appropriate opportunity to take up this measure offered by my colleague from Connecticut and another colleague, Senator Feinstein from California. It's the Commerce, Justice, Science Appropriations Bill. And we can't let another moment pass without a vote, without doing everything within our power to make the world a little safer, to do more than hold these victims and their families in our thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers are no longer enough. And I want to ask my colleague from Connecticut, you talked earlier about the power of this moment. You talked earlier about people taking to social media and urging their elected officials to listen and to act. And I want the people's voice to be heard. I want it to be so deafening that our colleagues who would suggest that the American public, for some reason, isn't behind this. We know the opposite to be true. We know how much support there is for universal background checks and for doing something as common sense as making sure that people who are on the terror watch list are not eligible to purchase guns. To something as simple as allowing the FBI to deny a firearm sale to somebody who is not able to fly on a commercial plane or is being investigated for terror. So in addition to tweeting, what, Senator Murphy, would you urge people to be doing right now to help us act?
I thank the senator for this question, which is at the center of this moment, right? This can't just be about the 30-some odd senators who have taken the floor over the course of the last 12 hours. And by the way, we have now been on the floor for over 12 hours. This has to be about something bigger. This has to be about a national movement that commands this place to act. It's happened before, and it has to happen here. It means that voters have to elevate this issue in their priority list. It means more people have to start asking questions about why their members of Congress, why their senators are voting in a way that's contrary to the vast majority of their constituents. It means everyone in this country deciding not to accept what exists today as the status quo. And let's remind everyone, as Senator Durbin has over and over again, that what exists today is not just a regularity of mass shootings, that prior to 2008 happened at the pace of 1 per every 2 months. These are the big shootings that now happen once every single month. It is also the regularity of gun violence that happens in our cities, such that kids in Hartford, Connecticut explained to me a year ago that police sirens and ambulance sirens are their lullaby at night because it is just a regular facet of their existence. The American people can't accept that either.